Why did a Muslim exorcist in France collapse during a routine Quranic recitation at 3 a.m.? What did the Djinn reveal about what they do when humans recite the Quran at night that left everyone in the room frozen with fear? This story is so unsettling and spiritually profound that you'll question everything you thought you knew about the unseen world. But before I continue, please check if you're already subscribed to this channel and write in the comments which country you're watching from. I want to know how far this message is reaching. Your comment helps this content reach more people. Now let me take you to a cold November night in Lyon, France, where the boundaries between our world and the world of the Djinn became terrifyingly thin. His name was Imam Yusuf Mansour, and he had been performing ruqya, Islamic spiritual healing, for over 15 years in Lyon's Muslim community. Born in Algeria, he had studied Islamic theology in Cairo before moving to France. By age 52, he had helped hundreds suffering from spiritual afflictions, but lately something had changed. Imam Yusuf experienced dreams he couldn't explain. In them, he stood in vast, empty mosques while shadowy figures watched from the corners. He would wake at exactly 3:17 a.m., drenched in sweat, feeling that someone or something had been standing at his bed. "You're working too hard, Habibi," his wife Amina would say. "You need rest." But Imam Yusuf knew it wasn't exhaustion. This felt like a warning. The breaking point came when a desperate family contacted him about their 17-year-old daughter, Safia. The girl had stopped eating, stopped speaking, and would only sit in her room whispering in an unidentifiable language. "Please, Imam," the mother begged. "She's not my daughter anymore." Something is inside her. Imam Yusuf agreed to come Friday night, the most blessed day in Islam when the barrier between realms is thinnest. He had no idea this case would reveal a secret about the Djinn world that no living exorcist had documented, a secret that would shake his faith to its core and change everything he thought he knew about nighttime recitations. The Khalil family lived in a modest apartment in La Guillotière. When Imam Yusuf arrived at 10 p.m., he immediately felt the heaviness, that suffocating sensation signaling a strong spiritual presence. Safia's father, Ahmad, opened the door with tired eyes. "Thank you for coming, Imam. Doctors say there's nothing physically wrong, but we know something has taken our daughter." The apartment was decorated with Quranic calligraphy, yet Imam Yusuf sensed the darkness that had invaded this home. "When did this start?" he asked. Safia's mother, Nadia, twisted her hands nervously. 3 months ago. She went with friends to an abandoned chateau, Chateau de Vaugrenard. When she returned, she was different. Then the whispering started. Imam Yusuf's blood ran cold. He knew that name. Every Muslim healer in Lyon knew Vaugrenard. At least 7 possession cases had been traced to that notorious location. "Take me to her," he said quietly. They led him to Safia's room. Even before opening the door, he heard low rhythmic whispering in an ancient-sounding language. Inside, Safia sat cross-legged, staring at nothing, her lips moving rapidly with incomprehensible words. Her eyes were vacant, as if seeing something invisible. Imam Yusuf approached, opening his Quran to Surah Al-Baqarah. But before he could recite, Safia's head snapped toward him with unnatural speed, and she smiled. It wasn't her smile. It was too wide, too knowing, too old. "You came," said a voice that wasn't Safia's, deeper, layered, as if multiple beings spoke through her throat. "We've been waiting for you, Imam Yusuf Mansour. We have something to show you." "Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim," Imam Yusuf began, his voice steady despite the ice in his veins. "Spare us your formalities, Imam," the voice interrupted with an echoing laugh. "We know who you are. We know why you've been having those dreams." Imam Yusuf froze. He hadn't told anyone about the dreams. "Who are you?" he demanded. Safia's eyes, no longer brown but amber, fixed on him with ancient intelligence. "We are the witnesses, the ones who gather when you humans recite in the deep night. The ones who record what you say, what you feel, what you truly mean." "The girl is possessed," Ahmad said desperately. "This is not simple possession," the voice said calmly. "The girl invited us. She opened a door that should have remained sealed. Through her, we have a message for all of you." Imam Yusuf positioned himself protectively. "Whatever message you claim, it comes from Shaitan. Even when we speak truth?" The voice tilted Safia's head impossibly. "Even when we reveal what happens during Tahajjud, During those sacred hours when you think you're alone with your Lord? The temperature dropped suddenly. Imam Yusuf could see his breath. You're not alone, Imam. You're never alone when you recite at night. We are there, listening, watching, recording every word, every tear, every supplication. The voice paused with something like sadness. And some of us weep at what we witness. What do you mean? Imam Yusuf asked against his better judgment. Tears rolled down Safia's cheeks, tears from somewhere else, not from the girl. Do you know what happens when a believer prays tahajjud? When they wake in the last third of the night and pour their heart out to Allah? Allah descends to the lowest heaven, Imam Yusuf recited the hadith. But what you don't know is that we gather too. The voice grew softer, reverent. Djinn, from across the realm. Believers and disbelievers among us. We are drawn to those prayers like moths to flame. And we witness something that breaks even our hearts of smokeless fire. The entity stood slowly. Let me tell you what we see. An elderly widow in Jakarta, prostrating at 3 a.m., begging Allah to cure her son's cancer. Her tears soak her prayer rug as she recites Surah Yasin with a voice broken by grief. We stand in the corners, some of us crying at her faith's purity. A young father in Damascus, performing ablution with freezing water in a bombed building, whispering prayers while bombs fall. We record his courage, his unwavering trust, despite everything lost. A teenage girl in London, hiding in her bathroom so her non-Muslim family won't discover her praying. She recites in whispers, terrified but too in love with Allah to abandon her faith. We witness her secret devotion. The room had gone silent, except for that haunting voice. Then explain your dreams, Imam, the entity continued. We have been trying to reach you to tell you what we see, because there is a message that needs to be delivered to humanity. What message? Ahmad asked. The entity's expression shifted with urgency. That your night prayers are more powerful than you know. They shake our realm, move mountains in the unseen world. But there's something else. Something darker that happens during certain recitations that even we fear to speak of. Imam Yusuf made a controversial decision. Instead of proceeding with immediate exorcism, he sat facing Safia's possessed form. If you truly have knowledge to share, speak, he said carefully. But one lie, and I banish you with Allah's words. I was among the believers, the entity began. I heard the Quran recited by Prophet Muhammad himself in Mecca's nights. I believed, I prayed. But I am here to warn you about what the other jinn do. The ones serving Iblis. Warn us about what? Imam Yusuf leaned forward. Do you know what they do when they hear someone reciting Quran at night? The strong servants of Shaitan don't flee. They gather, they listen, they search for weaknesses in the reciter's faith, sins to exploit, doubts to magnify, and they wait. Wait for what? For the moment the recitation ends. We can't touch you during prayer. You're protected. But after, when you think the spiritual battle is over, that's when we strike. The whispers begin. We plant seeds of doubt, memories of past sins, anxiety about the future. We turn your mind against you. This is what Shaitan does, Imam Yusuf said. But it's thousands of us. Organized, strategic. We have councils. We study each human who regularly prays at night, learning their weaknesses. We wage war in the realm of thoughts and emotions. Nadia was crying. Why? Because you're winning, the entity said simply. Every night prayer shakes our realm. Every sincere dua answered defeats our cause. So we fight back by making you give up, making you think your prayers don't matter. But you said you're a believer, Imam Yusuf said slowly. Why reveal this? Genuine anguish filled the voice. Because I'm tired. Tired of watching beautiful souls break under our assault. Tired of seeing believers give up on night prayers because we made them feel unworthy. I can at least warn you. Tell you how to protect yourselves. Imam Yusuf felt torn between protocol and the potential value of this information. Speak, he commanded. Tell us how to protect ourselves, but if you lie, Allah's punishment will be severe. I know, the entity whispered, and I'm willing to face that judgment. Some truths are worth the cost. Listen carefully, the voice urged. When a human performs night prayer, a barrier of light forms during recitation. This is Allah's protection, absolute. We cannot penetrate it. But the moment you say the final salam, The barrier begins to fade. Within 30 seconds, it's gone completely. That's our window. 30 seconds, Nadia repeated. That's all you have if you don't know the protocol. But there's a way to extend it, to seal yourself. The Prophet knew this, but humans forgot the importance of the sequence. Imam Yusuf's pen hovered. What sequence? After finishing night prayer, before anything else, recite 3 things in exact order. First, Ayat al-Kursi. This creates a shield around your home, lasting until morning. No jinn can enter where this has been recited, with sincere intention after night prayer. But most humans stand up, check their phone, get water, then remember to recite it. In those minutes between prayer and protection, we slip in. Imam Yusuf felt chilled. How many times had he done exactly that? Second, recite the last 3 surahs, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq, and Nas, 3 times each. These seal gaps in spiritual armor. Al-Ikhlas affirms pure monotheism, weakening our ability to create doubt. Al-Falaq protects from evil we create in darkness, and Nas protects from our whispers specifically. Third, most forgotten, make dua for protection from us. Say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min hamazat ash-shayatin wa a'udhu bika rabbi an yahdurun. When you say this after night prayer with sincerity, a secondary barrier forms. Not as strong as the prayer barrier, but strong enough that we cannot approach, cannot whisper. It lasts hours, until you break it by sinning or neglecting your next prayer. The entity's voice dropped. 3 months ago, I witnessed something that broke me. A young mother in Syria had lost everything to war. She lived in a refugee camp, barely enough food for her 3 children. But every night at 2 a.m., she would wake, make wudu with precious water, and pray. She begged Allah to protect her children. And I watched my fellow jinn surround that tent nightly, whispering, Allah abandoned you. Your prayers are worthless. They magnified her trauma, filled her with depression that some mornings she could barely move. But she kept praying. Despite everything we did, she kept prostrating. After 6 months, her prayers were answered. A distant relative found her family and sponsored them to Germany. Within a year, her children were safe, fed, in school. I realized we were on the wrong side, that sincere faith cannot be defeated, that we were serving Iblis in a war already lost. So I decided I would warn humans, even if it costs me everything. For 3 days, Imam Yusuf couldn't sleep. Safiya had recovered completely with no memory of events, but Imam Yusuf faced an impossible question. What should he do with this information? What if I received information that could help thousands, but the source was a jinn? He asked Amina. Don't share it, she said immediately. We don't take knowledge from jinn. But what if it's true? What if this could save people from spiritual harm? He showed her the protocol. There's nothing here that contradicts Quran or Sunnah. These are authentic practices. The entity just revealed the timing and sequence. Amina was troubled. If you share this publicly and say it came from a jinn, your reputation could be destroyed. 4 families he'd helped previously contacted him, all experiencing similar issues after exorcisms. Nightmares, anxiety, intrusive thoughts. We never had clear protection protocol, one said. You'd cleanse our homes and leave, but never taught us how to maintain protection. Imam Yusuf made a decision. He would tell them everything and let them decide. After hearing the story, one father said, My family needs this. I don't care if it came from a jinn or a dream. They're authentic Islamic practices. Another showed him a hadith. The Prophet said, when you finish prayer, Shaitan comes and says, remember such and such, until the person doesn't know how much they prayed. This confirms attacks happen after prayer, exactly as described. An elderly scholar named Ibrahim spoke up. The entity didn't invent anything. It revealed wisdom behind practices recorded in Quran and Sunnah for 14 centuries. That's different from taking new knowledge from jinn. I need to pray istikhara, Imam Yusuf finally said. Give me 1 week. But he already knew. Some knowledge, once received, carries an obligation. That Friday, the mosque was unusually full. Imam Yusuf had decided to share everything. He began with Surah Al-Jinn. Say, it has been revealed to me that a company of jinn listened and said, Indeed, we have heard an amazing Quran. My brothers and sisters, he continued, today I'm going to share something controversial. but I believe it's knowledge you need. He told them everything: the exorcism, the entity's revelations, the protection protocol, his doubts about the source. Some will say I was deceived, but I ask, if this helps even one person, wasn't it worth sharing? These aren't new practices, they're authentic sunnah. I'm explaining why they matter and when to use them. An elderly scholar stood, Sheikh Mahmoud, known for strict traditionalism. How do you know this wasn't deception? I tested everything against Quran and Sunnah, Imam Yusuf replied. Nothing contradicts our sources. Families I've taught privately report better sleep, less anxiety, stronger prayer connection. If this were deception, wouldn't we see harmful fruits? The debate continued 20 minutes. But Imam Yusuf noticed. Ordinary people, families struggling daily with anxiety, they were nodding. This resonated with their lived experience. Sheikh Mahmoud finally spoke. I cannot endorse taking knowledge from Djinn. However, the protection protocol is authentic sunnah. If you teach it as such without emphasizing the Djinn source, I won't oppose you. But be careful. The unseen realm is not for human curiosity. After Jumu'ah, dozens asked for details. Imam Yusuf spent hours teaching the exact sequence. Ahmad approached with an envelope from Safiya. I don't remember what happened, but my father told me. Last night I woke with a nightmare. Normally I'd be terrified for hours, but I recited Ayat al-Kursi, the 3 Quls, and the protection dua like you taught my parents. Within minutes, I felt complete peace. Whatever that entity told you, it was truth. Thank you for listening when it was dangerous. Imam Yusuf folded the letter into his Quran. This was all the confirmation he needed. Over 6 months, something unexpected happened. The protocol spread through Lyon, other French cities, then internationally via social media. Backlash came. A Saudi scholar warned against seeking knowledge from Djinn. Islamic councils distanced themselves. Angry messages accused him of innovation. But he also received hundreds like this. Imam Yusuf, I've suffered severe anxiety after tahajjud for years. Nothing worked. Within 1 week of your protocol, symptoms decreased 70%. Within a month, gone completely. You saved my life. Or, I'm a convert who's always felt spiritually vulnerable. Your protocol gave me tools I desperately needed. For the first time in 3 years, I feel protected. 4 months later, a letter arrived with no return address, written in elegant Arabic. To Imam Yusuf Mansour, we are the witnesses. We heard your sermon. You chose truth over reputation. Your name is now marked in our realm, not as enemy but as one who honored a promise made by our brother. You will face no interference from our kind. You and your household are under protection until you return to your Lord. Walk in peace. The believing Djinn of France. A year later, at a Morocco conference, a young scholar approached him. After your story spread, I searched historical hadith manuscripts. Look at this. She showed him a 9th century text describing the exact same protocol, same sequence, same timing for night prayers. This knowledge wasn't new, she said quietly. It was old, very old, practiced by our predecessors, then forgotten. What that entity gave you was a reminder of something we'd lost. Imam Yusuf wept. The entity had told the truth. It had returned prophetic wisdom buried in forgotten manuscripts for over 1,000 years. That night in Marrakech, he performed tahajjud and added something new. O Allah, if that entity was indeed a believer, and if it sacrificed its safety to help your servants, be merciful to it. Grant it refuge from those who hunt it. Grant all of us, human and jinn, wisdom to choose truth over pride. Ameen. 2 years later, Imam Yusuf's life had found new equilibrium. His mosque attendance increased. People came for practical spiritual guidance. Young professionals with anxiety, students struggling with faith, converts navigating new territory. He started a weekly class on spiritual protection, the most attended program at the mosque. Safiya had started university studying psychology. She wanted to research psychological effects of spiritual protection practices. What if the anxiety many Muslims experience is partly spiritual? What if we're treating physical symptoms while ignoring the spiritual dimension? The international response settled into something manageable. The protocol was taught in dozens of countries, usually without mentioning the controversial origin. Imam Yusuf was fine with that. The knowledge was out there. People were benefiting. Other exorcists began reaching out to compare notes. Many shared similar experiences with entities claiming to be believers, offering information, seeming genuinely conflicted. These conversations led to a small network of practitioners exploring these questions carefully, always checking against Quran and Sunnah. Imam Yusuf's relationship with the unseen realm had fundamentally changed. He no longer saw jinn as simply enemies. He saw them as fellow creatures of Allah, some righteous, some wicked, most in between, navigating their own tests. His night prayers had deepened. Aware that worship was being observed by unseen beings, he became more conscious of sincerity. One night, something extraordinary happened. While reciting Surah As-Sajdah, the air became impossibly heavy, not oppressive, just dense with presence. For 3 seconds he saw something, light that wasn't light, geometry that made no sense, a presence so vast his mind couldn't process it. He'd never told anyone. Some experiences are too sacred to share. But it confirmed what the entity said. When we worship with absolute sincerity, something responds. Occasionally the veil thins enough that we glimpse the reality behind all things. On this evening, a message from Ahmad. Safia went back to Vaugrenard today for a psychology project. She felt completely safe because of the protocol. She taught it to classmates before going. Nothing happened, just an old building. I think she's finally healed. Imam Yusuf smiled. That was the point, not to live in fear of the unseen, but to be properly equipped to navigate it. His youngest son Omar asked, "Baba, will you teach me the nighttime prayers?" As he taught his 7-year-old the protocol, explaining each verse in simple terms, Imam Yusuf realized this was perhaps the most important consequence. The knowledge was being passed down. A new generation would understand that spiritual protection wasn't optional. It was practical, necessary, deeply rooted in their tradition. "Do jinn really listen when we pray?" Omar asked. "Some do, the believing ones. They're curious about us. But that's not why we pray. We pray for Allah. The jinn are just witnesses." "Are they our friends?" "Some could be. Most are just neighbors in the unseen realm. We respect them, protect ourselves from harmful ones, and focus on our own journey to Allah. That's the balanced approach." After Omar left, Imam Yusuf returned to his desk. Tomorrow he'd teach another class. Next week, 3 exorcism cases. Next month, a conference in Turkey on Islamic spirituality and mental health. His life had become about building bridges between traditional scholarship and lived experience, between seen and unseen realms, between fear and understanding, between ancient wisdom and modern questions. It wasn't the life he'd planned. The controversy would probably follow him forever. But as he looked at his notes, at messages from transformed lives, at his son's handwriting practicing the protection dua, Imam Yusuf knew he'd choose the same way again. Because some knowledge, once received, carries an obligation. And sometimes the most important truths come from the most unexpected sources. The important thing wasn't where the knowledge came from. It was whether it led people closer to Allah. And by every measure that mattered, it had. What should you take away from this story? First, the spiritual realm is real, active, constantly interacting with our lives. Jinn aren't folklore, they're actual beings created by Allah. Some serve shaitan, attacking believers. Others serve Allah, most exist in between. Second, your night prayers matter more than you realize. Every time you wake for tahajjud, every tear, every recitation, you create ripples in the unseen realm. You're not alone. Your worship is witnessed. Your sincerity has power beyond what eyes can see. Third, protect yourself. The protocol isn't superstition. It's prophetic wisdom. After every night prayer, immediately recite Ayat al-Kursi, Surah al-Ikhlas, al-Falaq, al-Nas, 3 times each. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min hamazat ash-shayatin wa a'udhu bika rabbi an yahdurun. Do this before anything else. These 30 seconds can shield you from hours of spiritual attack. Fourth, pursue sincerity in worship. Don't chase spiritual experiences, but know that when you pray with complete humility and genuine need for Allah, something shifts in the cosmos. Allah's attention is always there. Finally, truth can come from unexpected sources. Imam Yusuf took a risk listening to that entity. But he tested everything against Quran and Sunnah, consulted scholars, verified with historical sources, observed the fruits, all pointed to truth. Before I close, I have sad news. I need to close this channel soon. I love bringing you these stories, these reminders of spiritual truths our modern world forgets. But to continue, I need to become a YouTube partner. For that, I need 1,000 subscribers. I'm asking from my heart, if these stories have benefited you, if they've strengthened your connection to Allah or opened your eyes to the unseen realm, please subscribe. It's the only way I can keep doing this work. Your subscription isn't just a number, it's a vote that this content matters. That these spiritual truths deserve a place in our discourse. That Muslims need practical guidance for navigating the unseen aspects of our faith. Please, click that subscribe button. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Share this video. Leave a comment about which country you're watching from. May Allah protect you and your families from evil. May He grant you sincerity in worship, consistency in prayers, and wisdom to navigate both seen and unseen aspects of existence. And remember, when you wake for tahajjud tomorrow, you're not alone. The witnesses are watching, the angels are present, and Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein, waiting for you to call upon Him. Choose to pray. Choose to protect yourself. Choose sincerity over routine, because that's the only choice that truly matters. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you all.